Very powerful documentary, has actually helped to push the government into much, much tougher words, much tougher proposals, other than the language changing, which of itself, I accept, is significant. What do you think about their proposed actions and the likelihood that that's going to make any real difference on the ground?
Well, survivors and campaigners I spoke to this morning described the situation as one of cautious optimism. And I do share that because I think the reason why I have such strong views on these policies is, as you note, I think they're kind of directly lifted from the recommendations we made in that documentary 2 months ago. The NCA-supported task force is something that we've been calling for at GB News for a while now. And though, Nigel, you suggested it has kind of Blairite connotations, the National Crime Agency has been absolutely vital in securing justice for grooming gang survivors in Rotherham, where they have secured hundreds of more survivors accessing support and many more prosecutions and convictions. They've been able to do that because they've parachuted in specialist officers who understand the situation and aren't tainted by local politics and local woke approaches to dealing with this issue. So I'm very keen on that policy indeed, and it was very interesting to hear the Home Secretary proposed how she would assess its success going forward today. But also, there's this renewed sense of focus on the recording of ethnicity data. Now, we know that this is something that police forces across the country have completely failed to do, and this has given us a very narrow understanding of the issue and has allowed the wider commentary and politicians to avoid talking about it seriously.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think, a cynic would say this has all come 10 years too late, but I think you're right. I think the recording of ethnicity data is a very, very big step in the right direction. I agree with that. Do you think it took a Prime Minister and a Home Secretary who both came themselves from ethnic minority backgrounds for the Conservatives to find the courage to do this?
I think the problem we've had is not really the identity of the politicians, but we never really had the national conversation we needed about this issue when the lid blew off the scandal a decade ago. There was all this awkward discussion about the issue. There was very, very cautious, nervous and downright cowardly discussion of the demographics of the perpetrators, overwhelmingly Pakistani in many of the 50 different towns and cities where these grooming gangs have occurred. And of course, people just did not care about the working class white girls who were mostly being abused. That's been the real cause of the problem. And my mission at GB News with this documentary and this wider investigation was to shift that national conversation, was to restart it and to show to people that there was a bigger truth out there that they weren't being shown.
Well, Charlie, I have to say, I think you've done an absolutely brilliant job. You have shifted this agenda on, and we'll watch over the course of the next months and years to see just how much of a difference it makes. Thank you for joining me this evening, and well done on that conversation with Suella Braverman too. Well, it was rather